Welcome back, darling. Haha. Just kidding. Let's start with the first story. Am I the prick for just refusing to cook for my wife at this point? By Reddit user Winter Reveal. Am I the prick for just refusing to cook for my wife at this point? I am 39 and male. My wife, Jennifer, is 37. We have been married for 8 years and we have 2 children. I work full-time, and Jennifer is a stay-at-home mom. She's a wonderful mother to our children, but one thing that she does not like to do is cook. This works out just fine for me, as I generally get off work by 4:30, and I happen to be a phenomenal cook. My father was a chef, and I've been cooking since I was 10 years old. I also worked as a line cook for several years. Virtually everyone loves my cooking. When we have company, it gets rave reviews. Our children always ask for seconds. I put a lot into it, and I take pride in my cooking skills. The only person who doesn't like it is Jennifer. She complains endlessly, like too salty, too much pepper, and or this is undercooked. She also backseat cooks a lot, where I'll be in the kitchen making something, and she won't shut up about what I should be doing differently. The worst part, though, is that she'll frequently insult my cooking and then go get garbage like a Hot Pocket or a frozen dinner from the freezer. Last Wednesday, I made Salisbury steaks with mushroom gravy, cream cheese mashed potatoes, and roasted asparagus. When I put Jennifer's plate in front of her, she made a disgusted face. She poked at her Salisbury steak for a few seconds and took the tiniest bite imaginable. She then made an exaggerated retching sound, dramatically threw her fork on the plate, and went to heat up a microwave burrito. I just snapped. I didn't say anything at the time because our children were there, but I was completely done. The next day, I made teriyaki bowls with broccoli. Jennifer sat at the table waiting for hers, and I informed her that I was done cooking for her. When she asked why, I told her it's a waste of food and that she should just go have a Hot Pocket. Jennifer is furious that I won't cook for her, and she says that instead of giving up, I should try a bit harder. I think she should just subsist on whatever microwavable slop she likes and stop complaining. Did I escalate too much here? Let's see what the comments say. Reddit user Quiet Riot said, "Not the prick. Did you marry a 5-year-old? She behaved like a child. If you are not willing to do something, you don't get to complain about the people that do. In my house, whoever is cooking makes what they make, and everybody else shuts the frick up and eats it. If you honestly can't eat it for some reason, you thank the person for making the meal and then make yourself something quietly and politely." Reddit user Hail or Shine said, "Like, part of me was saying, maybe he should have said to his wife that he wouldn't be cooking for her rather than telling her at the dinner table, but also, there is literally no situation in the world where I think it's appropriate to performatively retch at somebody's cooking while telling everybody at the dinner table that you don't like it." She was beyond rude, and I shudder to think how else she behaves because this can't be the only way in which she behaves like a child. Reddit user Eileen Left said, "It's also potentially hindering the children from developing the taste for diverse foods. A lot of times kids will say you are yucky when faced with a food because one or the other parent doesn't like it." Reddit user Galaxy Stars Moon said, "It absolutely does. My former sister-in-law hates bananas would do the retching sound if you ate one, even near her. Now my nephew also hates them and he's never even eaten one. Does the same faces and fake puking motion. It's pathetic." Reddit user Interesting Box said, "It is the same with my goddaughter. Her mom, verbatim, is no. Don't eat that, you will not like it, it's not good." About every food she personally doesn't like. And trust me, it is much harder to convince kid to try something after mom said it's bad. Reddit user 2 Steps at a Time said, "This. My husband and I would never say we don't like something in front of our kids. They are pretty picky already, but still try new things when they are being served. Usually they will start saying no, I don't like it. We tell them they always have to take at least one bite before deciding. Sometimes they gag, sometimes they say they love it, but at least they have tried it. Also they are 3 and 4 years old and they would never say you to food." Reddit user Millie1 said, "My son is autistic. He started with a wide palate when we started him on solids, and then practically overnight he wouldn't eat most things except raw fruit, green salad, chips of course, and a few other things like pasta. When he finally started talking, age 5, he just said no thanks. Until he stayed at a friend's place with her kids, and when he tried the mango smoothie at age 8, he came out with 'That's disgusting.' Fortunately she knew him well and took it in her stride and was cackling when she told me. I then taught him, thanks but that isn't my taste." I live to regret that because 13 years later that line has been used on me hundreds of times. Meanwhile, we modeled the behavior we expected, and he had to try something on 3 separate occasions before it was an absolute no. Since he turned 17, he has opened his palate up but still has issues with textures. If my husband ever behaved like original poster's wife, he would be shown the door. She isn't behaving like a 5-year-old. She's behaving like a self-absorbed, willful and rude individual. I would be looking for a doctor's appointment for her about her behavior. Reddit user Nozokeeper Game said, "Not the prick. The retching sound and throwing of the fork deserves the cut off without any other discussion. As you are still cooking for the kids, and because your kids should know that that kind of rudeness is not acceptable and comes with reasonable consequences." Reddit user HurtLockerFan said, "It is really not about the food. All these years of cooking by an expert and she never happened to like a single dish? Bottom line is she likes tearing him down. She knows he is passionate about cooking and takes pride in it, and everyone loves his cooking. So she wants to shit on the one thing he loves. She is a mean, nasty, negative woman." Reddit user Pizzicato, honestly that's what this feels like. It really feels like she's just doing this to tear him down. Even if you don't like someone's cooking, behaving like this is just childish. Why else would you do this other than to shame a person? Plus, why is she making a big deal about him not cooking if she doesn't like his cooking anyways? Bruh. Didn't the original poster say his wife is 37 years old? This sounds like it is not about the taste of his cooking, but something else. He says she backseats him when he cooks and complains about the taste in a very excessive manner. It seems to be more out of spite or something on the line of bitterness about something. My parents were in a similar position. My dad is a really good cook while my mom is only good at cooking certain dishes. She would complain about my dad's cooking being too salty, too spicy, or too oily. But she would still eat it at the end. I ended up learning both sides of cooking growing up and have made a fusion of both styles and taste. Now, I am in charge of cooking for my family. I would suggest that they both have a proper talk, and preferably with the presence of a third party that is not biased as much as possible. If she wants to start taking over the cooking, give her days for her turn and the rest for yours. Good luck, and I hope you can get to a solution." It seems we have an update for the previous story. Am I the prick for just refusing to cook for my wife at this point? Update. About a month ago, I posted here about something that happened over dinner one night. My wife, Jennifer, literally retched at my cooking, despite taking the tiniest bite imaginable. After that, I refused to cook for her, which made her very angry. It was this bizarre disconnect between her thinking my food was trash not fit for a compost bin, but her demanding that I continue making it for her anyway. I was hesitant to update because for some reason beyond my understanding, I received about a dozen hate-filled direct messages after my last post. They were all being sent from users of a parody community of this. I have no idea what I did to make so many people upset, but a lot of people have asked me for an update, so I figured I'd give one. Anyway, the last month has been really eye-opening for me. I had long ago noticed that Jennifer was highly critical of my cooking, but over this time, I've come to realize that she's really critical of just about everything that I do. For example, 2 weeks ago, I was walking outside with her. I'm pigeon-toed, and have been since I was a baby, although it's a lot better now. Jennifer asked why I was walking with my toes slightly pointed in, and when I explained to her that I'm pigeon-toed, she responded in an exasperated tone, "Why don't you just try walking with your feet straight?" Yes. Thank you. My literal bone issue was just magically cured by your advice. I never realized that the problem to something I have suffered from for nearly 40 years was staring me right in the face. At least now if I know I ever get cancer, I can just get rid of it by deciding not to have cancer. You see, I never really noticed how critical she is towards me on virtually everything I do. She's just more forward about my cooking. For example, when she walks into my home office, she always scrunches up her face in this really displeased way. I don't think she likes the interior, which I designed, because she wants nothing but white and gray in every room in the house. Whenever I try to do the laundry, she'll hear me open the washing machine door and beeline over to backseat me through the whole process. This is coming from a woman who once ruined a $1,500 suit of mine because she thought bleach would be the perfect stain remover. By the way, when I was explaining an issue I had with my colleague to her, she took my colleague's side despite her being objectively in the wrong from an industry standpoint. My wife was adamant though. I must have been the one to screw things up. I'm honestly just exhausted. The criticism of my cooking was the worst, yes, but it really just overshadowed everything else she always found fault with me on. I tried to have a conversation with her, and naturally she denied doing anything of the sort, denied ever being rude to me, and even denied retching at my food. She actually tried to gaslight me here. She kept asking me questions like, when did I do that? Tell me the date. Then she called me a hypocrite for being critical of her, hijacked the conversation, and eventually stonewalled me. I've come to realize that I don't really like my wife anymore. She's just such a negative person. It makes me sad, but in the next few days, I'm going to ask her for a divorce. She's not going to like it, but I've come to realize that when she walks into a room I'm in, I get anxious about what she's going to say to me. Thank you for all your comments. I also apologize if this was long-winded. My marriage is falling apart, and I'm not in the best headspace right now. That really escalated, but I somehow expected this. Let's read the comments. Reddit user Lefty Trash said, "Don't ask for a divorce, dude. Just see a lawyer to draw up the papers and have her served. She doesn't deserve your consideration at this point." Reddit user Sir EDC a lot said, "Talk to a divorce lawyer before you talk to your wife. Can't say this enough. A divorce lawyer will tell you exactly what you should and shouldn't say and do after dropping the bombshell. For example, don't leave the house. Don't sleep elsewhere. Don't in any way stop spending time with kids. Don't abandon any parental duties. Depending on the finances involved, it might be cheaper to buy her a month-long vacation in Hawaii to get her out of the house and establish herself as primary parent than to go through a custody or housing battle. Talk to a lawyer first." Reddit user Pretty Tradition said, "Agreed, don't move out of the house unless your lawyer okays it. But do rent a storage unit and move to it any of your possessions with high sentimental value. She will destroy them in order to hurt you." Reddit user Rocketman said exactly. "Don't give her time to rip you off. Take screenshots of all your financials just before you hand her the divorce papers." Reddit user Optics Clear said, "Oh, this is sound advice. Move money around, move it to another account at a new bank. Start preparing for a divorce, declutter your lives. Order meal plan factor, those are great. Hello has gotten better. Move important paperwork, passport, financial documents, birth certificate, social security card into a safety deposit box at the bank. Whatever you want to keep put into storage unit. She will ask what's decluttering. When you are ready to deliver papers, change all passwords to shared accounts." Reddit user J Prefect said, "Original posters, it sounds like your soon-to-be ex is a narcissist. You might find support in some of the narcissistic abuse forums." Boy oh boy. My suspicions were right. It wasn't just the cooking. It was literally everything that she had complaints about. And from the looks of it, there is no more talking at this point. I have a feeling that there is a much bigger reason behind this. I would speculate that she might be seeing someone else while you are busy with work. But at this point, it looks like the original poster has any heart to keep this relationship. I wish you good luck in your upcoming legal battle. Here's the last story for today. Am I the prick for thinking about leaving my boyfriend of 10 years because he won't leave his mom's house? By Reddit user Optimal AD. I'm a 35-year-old female, and my boyfriend is 42 male. We've been together for almost 10 years, but I'm seriously considering ending things because he doesn't seem to have any plans to leave his mom's house or make any real changes in his life. I need some perspective because I'm starting to feel like I'm wasting my time, but I also don't want to be unfair to him. Here's the situation. We've been dating for nearly a decade, and for most of that time, we've lived in different cities. I've been the one traveling every weekend to stay at his family's place, which is in a tiny, smelly town he doesn't even like. He's been living with his mom this whole time, and while he's talked about us building a life together, it feels like there's no real progress. After the pandemic, he had a breakdown which, to be fair, we all struggled during that time, but he's kind of stayed stuck in that rut. He used to go to therapy when he was younger and tried going back to the same therapist after the pandemic, but he said it didn't help. The problem is, his town is so small that there's only one good therapist, so he feels like he's out of options. His family is a whole other issue. They're always a mess, constantly demanding he help them with their problems, and he doesn't even get along with them. But he keeps jumping in to fix things for them, even though it clearly stresses him out. Meanwhile, he spends his free time playing RPGs with his friends every week, which is fine, but it feels like he's avoiding dealing with his own life, and another reason to not leaving. I live in a bigger city that's relatively close by, and I've suggested that he could split his time, work and do therapy here half the week and spend the other half in his hometown. But every time I bring it up, he just says it's complicated and doesn't really give me a clear reason why he can't. Financially, he's actually in a better position than I am. He has investments and owns some land, which isn't a fortune, but is more than I have. He keeps talking about how he's going to win the lottery one day and then propose to me, but come on, that's not a plan. I've tried to encourage him to move to a bigger city where there are more opportunities like I did, but he says he can't because his clients are in his current town. At the same time, he's always complaining about how his business is struggling and how he's barely making ends meet. It's frustrating because it feels like he's stuck in a cycle of excuses. Recently, he bought a car, saying it would make our lives easier, but I don't see how that changes anything. It feels like he's making small gestures without addressing the bigger issues. I've been patient for years, but I'm starting to feel like I'm putting my life on hold for someone who isn't willing to take the steps needed to move forward. I don't even want him to marry me or whatever. I just want some privacy and he improving his own life to be happier. Living without planning the next steps makes all the efforts look meaningless, at least for me. Not planning anything brought us here in the first time, so I think I deserve some planning for a change. TLDR, am I the prick for thinking about leaving him over this? I love him, but I'm tired of waiting for him to take control of his life. Girl, you good? Let's see what they say in the comments. Reddit user Mia Sunset said, "Girl, you're not looking for a boyfriend, you're stuck waiting on a side quest NPC to finally trigger the main storyline. A decade is more than enough time to see if someone is gonna level up, and he's still farming excuses. Love isn't enough if you're the only one putting in the effort. You deserve a player too, not a passive background character." Reddit user King X Mifas Lion said, "Girl, if he's still farming excuses after a decade, it's time to hit that reset button. You deserve a player too who's ready to co-op in the main storyline, not just chilling in the background like a low-level NPC. Time to trade him in for someone who knows how to level up your love life." The original poster replied, "I'm not stuck waiting, in fact, I'm working and doing a graduation at the same time. I think that's why I'm so exhausted. I feel like I'm putting a real effort to build a better life while he doesn't change a bit. Okay, I'm late on my studies, but we always can improve ourselves, right?" Reddit user Sixicus6 said, "If you want to improve, you need to accept reality. You must be real with yourself that you can either leave him or accept him for who he is, which is a guy who will not move your relationship forward." The original poster replied, "Yes, I agree with you. We agreed on a final conversation. Let's see what happens." Reddit user Desire Secrets said, "Please remember that if he wanted to make a change, he would. You deserve more than just empty promises." Reddit user Lake Glenn said, "I would have thought this was fake, but my friend waited 13 years for her boyfriend to get his life together and propose to her, and guess what? Spoiler alert, he never did. It is called failure to launch. I tell ladies not to get involved with men who do not have their life in order, and who do not match them on life goals and ambition, because it doesn't get better. You will figure this out in the early weeks of dating someone if you ask the right questions. It sounds like you met him at a stage of your life where, being so much younger than he, you were kind of where he still is today. The difference was that you had plans to one day put into action, and then you did. He talks about it, but if he were more honest with you, in his heart he has no intention of moving up and out. If it is contingent on him winning the lottery, he is telling you the odds are nearly zero. I wonder if one main reason your finances are not as high as they could be despite your study and hustle is all the time, money, and effort you are putting into traveling back to that grimy little place he lives just to accommodate him. This relationship is holding you back. You can bless him, but love yourself more and wish him well as you move on with what matters to you and find someone who is on your level." The original poster replied, "I wish it was fake. I'm so tired of explaining to him the pity face people do when I tell them I've been dating for this long. I know there's implicit pressure on men to provide. I told him I don't see it that way, and we split all bills, even when I traveled to see him, but also I feel a stigma over women who date a guy for so long that we're dumb or naive. I learned how to love being independent and having time to my own, but this much travel and not having someone near when I need a cuddle is terrible." On his defense, my family is way conservative than his, so there's more freedom in his house. But eventually I got tired of his house and some family's habits. Reddit user Lake Glenn replied to the original poster, I know the quote-unquote pity face you were talking about. Ironically, they pity you, not him. He is the one with the pitiful life, but they pity you because you can't see this for what it is. You were getting used. I hope you never accept so little in return ever again. Lesson learned the hard way. It sounds like now you finally see the truth. Yes, a man should be a provider. But I don't just mean a provider of money. He should provide comfort, security, emotional support, and be a provider of solutions to the problems of life that come up in your life and in his. This guy was not your hero, not your companion, or a partner in any sense of the word. Reddit user I'm on break said, "Not the prick. If your boyfriend has been stuck and not even considering your advice. My wife calls me out whenever I'm slacking about something I have to do, and while I may feel the pressure, I always take her advice because it keeps us on the same page and moves us forward. Your BF is afraid to make uncomfortable decisions, and I know that as a fact because I used to be like that." Reddit user Driven Apricot said, "I was in a similar position once. Left the guy after things did not get better, although they weren't bad, just not progressing. I still loved him when I left him. Half a year later I met the love of my life, my husband. There is no need to stick with someone mediocre. It seems to me you are the one investing more in this relationship than he is. You deserve better. If you think about leaving him, you have given yourself the answer anyway." The original poster replied, "I know you're right, but I'm also on denial. I never thought about marrying someone before him. We met on an app, but we trade lots of virtual letters for years, and I know probably it's because I'm still on it, but I feel like we're so deep on each other even with these problems. We're both very reserved people, so it took a long time to us to dig. But we found a place where we're perfectly cozy with each other. The problem seems to be when we're apart. The longer we're together, the better we get along. The sad part is living 15 days understanding in my head I'm a single person, being alone at all social events, and then met him and understand I'm dating cause sleeping spooned for 3 days or a Christmas holiday. But I get it. You're all right. Sometimes only love and a nice story isn't enough. Girl, your patience is as wide as the Sahara Desert. Don't get me wrong though, it is very rare and admirable to be loyal and sticking out for him like this, but girl, you deserve better. It seems like your soon-to-be ex-boyfriend does not really care either you were there or not. Find someone who would love you and want to start a family with you like how he would. You say things about not really wanting to marry him, but we do know you do at some point. He just doesn't think the same way. If he agreed for a final talk, it seems he does not really want to be in a relationship due to his personal priorities. I wish all the best for you, original poster. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I had. Subscribe for more stories and what other people say about it. Oh, and tell me your thoughts on the comment section below. Come again and visit me next time, okay? Have an amazing rest of your day.